Now is the director at Media Monitoring Africa at Willam Bird, and he joins me now via Skype. Let's see if we can get him. All right, well, William, thanks very much indeed for joining us. You've been listening to what's been playing out in Parliament this afternoon. I wonder if anything that's come out is new, or are we hearing the same things over and over again?
You know, it's like when you know there's a train smash coming, and instead of taking this necessary steps, you kind of push the accelerate button on the train smash. It is quite an extraordinary turn of events that government has known about this for over a year. Over a year, government has known about SABC's impending, well, current and existing and deepening financial crisis. And now we hear that apparently the SABC's turnaround strategy doesn't comply. What does that mean? And how on earth is it that when SAA or any of these multiplicity of incredibly horrendously run entities merely have to sneeze and they get handed out bailout, literally of millions, yet SABC has been on a significant turnaround strategy whereby almost every parameter they're performing better than any other entity that's funded by the public purse, and yet they are now in a position where they are about to collapse. I mean, and it's an extraordinary thing. It makes government look as though they don't care or that they are a bunch of bananas.
I'm just trying to figure out, listening to you, why do you think that might be the case, that the SABC has to sort of work harder than other SOEs to get the assistance that it needs?
I mean, look, there's obviously a clear strategic value, and what we have seen for the SABC throughout its history, I might add, is that it's used very much and seen as a political football and a political duel at the same time. In other words, those in power always want to make sure that they try and keep their handle on it. What we've seen now is that we've got an independent board, we've got a very capable senior management team that are trying to run things and turn things around. And yet, they're doing so under enormous pressure. And for those that are concerned about an independent SABC, this is a real threat because they stand no longer to be able to control something that they feel that they need to. It's clearly a colonial mindset that's allowing that kind of thing to seep in, but it's clear that that's what's happening. And it's really profoundly tragic that we've got something that can and is in many respects already a beacon of positivity for us in a progressively worsening economic climate, that the SABC is doing so well on so many parameters, and yet they're just not getting the guarantee that they need in order to continue and grow.
So the executive doing a great job at the moment, certainly stabilizing the corporation and trying to find a way forward. But I guess, in terms of looking forward and sustainability, one of the big issues, and I'm not sure how that's going to be solved, we heard from the acting COO that for media companies, the average staff complement is 23%, or the average staff cost is 23% of revenue. At the SABC, it's 48%. And that's just not sustainable. So how do we cross that bridge, do you think, going forward?
Well, the first thing you need to do is get the SABC the guarantee and then start having, public consultations about how to reshape and reformat our public broadcaster. There's no doubt that it has to change and change significantly. You can't go into a digital era with an entity that was designed by a bunch of apartheid crooks. You really have to shift things fundamentally. But once they get the guarantee, then we need to be able to have those conversations. It needs to be public participation. Parliament needs to be involved. The minister, everyone should be involved in saying what our public broadcaster should look like. But they're going to really struggle to do that if you keep the SABC in a position of chaos or where they have to have blackout.
All right, so perhaps as a final question, William, if you were in the Portfolio Committee today and had an opportunity to speak to the Minister, what would you say to her?
I would have said, Madam Minister, please do the right thing. You need to get Treasury to get this a guarantee to the SABC and do it not today, not tomorrow, not next week, but now. It needs to be done immediately. It's really profound unfair on a whole lot of employees, on thousands of employees, to leave them in a position where they're not knowing if they're going to be paid at the end of the month. It's a profoundly grave disservice to our democracy to put the biggest means of information and entertainment in our country at fundamental threat of not being able to do what they need to be doing. And I would say this is an opportunity where government can win so easily by making sure that they can show this is an entity that is funded to a degree by public purse, that gets a guarantee, that is able to turn it around and do our country proud.
All right, so Willam Bird, always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much indeed for joining us. That's Willam Bird, the Director of Media Monitoring Africa, sharing his thoughts with us about the situation at the SABC and what government can do to help.